Hi all. Today I'm talking about a bryophyte, Anthoceros. The systematic position is division Anthocerophyta, class Anthocerotopsida, order Anthocerotales, family Anthocerotaceae, and the genus is Anthoceros, Anthoceros. Anthoceros is represented by about 200 species. All species are terrestrial and cosmopolitan in distribution. The species grow in very moist and shady places like slopes, rocks, or sides of ditches. In India, Anthoceros is represented by about 25 species. Out of these, three species of Anthoceros, Anthoceros himalayensis, Himalayens, Anthoceros himalayensis, Anthoceros erectus, ERECTUS, and Anthoceros chambensis, Anthoceros CHAMBENSIS. Anthoceros himalayensis, Anthoceros erectus, and Anthoceros chambensis are commonly found growing in the western Himalayan region at an altitude of 5,000 to 8,000 feet. Some other species of the Anthoceros are Anthoceros sahyadrensis, Anthoceros crispulus, etc. There are two phases in the life cycle of Anthoceros. They are the gametophytic phase and the sporophytic phase. Among this, gametophytic phase is represented by the dominant phase in the life cycle. Now, moving on to the external features of the gametophyte. The thallus is small, dark green, dorsiventral, prostrate, branched or lobed. The thallus is variously divided. Here, you cannot see a dichotomous branching in the thallus. The thallus is variously divided. And such branching result into an orbicular or semi-orbicular rosette-like appearance of the thallus. The dorsal surface of the thallus is smooth and velvety, but in some cases it is rough. The thallus shows a central thick middle portion, but the midrib, as in the case of Rixia, is totally absent in the case of Anthoceros. I have already told you that the thallus is dorsiventral. That is, it is having a dorsal or upper surface and a ventral or lower surface. The dorsal surface is smooth and it carries a thicker middle portion. That is, this portion, the middle portion will be thick and will flatten towards the margin. Now, coming on to the ventral surface of the thallus, the ventral surface carries rhizoids. See, these are the rhizoids. Here, you can see only smooth-walled rhizoid. The tuberculate rhizoids are totally absent. And also, you cannot see scales on the ventral surface of the thallus. That is, the ventral surface of the thallus carries only smooth-walled rhizoids. Internal structure of the thallus. The thallus of Anthoceros is several layer thick and are homogeneous. That is, you cannot see any tissue differentiation inside the thallus. It carries an upper epidermis and a lower epidermis. The upper epidermis is continuous. Air pores are totally absent in the case of upper epidermis. The lower epidermis carries the rhizoids, that is the smooth walled rhizoids. These are the smooth walled rhizoids. On the ventral surface of the thallus, you can see intercellular cavity filled with the mucilage. It opens outside through slime pore. See, the small opening is known as this small opening of the cavity to the outside is known as slime pore. S-L-I-M-E, slime pore. The cavity is filled with the mucilage, and along with the mucilage you can see the blue-green algae nostoc. The nostoc is helping the plant in fixing the atmospheric nitrogen. In between the upper epidermis and lower epidermis is the parenchymatous cells, and this parenchymatous cells carries the chloroplast, and these chloroplasts are helping in the photosynthesis. This is all about the internal structure of Anthoceros thallus. Now the reproduction in Anthoceros. The reproduction in Anthoceros is taking place through two methods. First one, the vegetative reproduction, and second method is the sexual reproduction. The vegetative method is taking place through four different methods. They are death and decay of the older portion of the thallus. Second one is by gemma formation. Third one by the persistent epiphysis, and fourth one by the tubers. Thus, there are four different types of vegetative reproduction in the case of Anthoceros. Among these, the first method, death and decay of older portion of the thallus. In this, the basal or the posterior part of the thallus start disintegration. That is, the basal region start disintegration due to aging or the drought. When this process of disintegration or the decay reaches up to the place of branching, see this is the place of branching. When the decay reaches up to the place of branching, the lobe of the thallus get separated. These two lobes are getting separated, and each detached lobe develop into a new plant. This is developing into a new plant, and this is also developing into a new plant. This method is known as death and decay of the older portion of the thallus. Now, the second method is by gemma formation. Gemma are small multicellular bud-like structures with a short stalk, and these are produced upon the upper surface along with the margin of the thallus. When these gemma are getting detached, they will grow into a new thallus. Now the third method is by the persistent epiphysis. Due to the prolonged dry summer or towards the end of the growing season, the whole thallus in some species dries and get destroyed except the upper growing point. Later, it grows deep into the soil and becomes thick. Under favorable condition, it develops into a new thallus. Now, fourth method is by tuber formation. Towards the end of growing season, the epiphysis of the thallus lobe get thickened and form the perennating tubers. These are capable to pass on unfavorable condition, and on the resumption of the favorable condition, the tubers produce into a new thallus. These are the 4 different methods of vegetative reproduction: the death and decay of the older portion of the thallus by gemma formation, by persistent apices, and by tubers. Now, the second method of reproduction, sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction is oogamous type. It produces male reproductive organ known as antheridium and the female reproductive organ known as archegonium. The antheridium and archegonium are produced inside the dorsal surface of the thallus. The anthoceros is monoecious, but some members are dioecious. That is, some anthoceros species are producing the male and female reproductive organ on the same thallus, but in some other cases, the male and female reproductive organs are produced on the different thallus. The first one is known as monoecious and the second one is known as dioecious. When the plant is monoecious, it is protrandrous. That is, the antheridium is produced first, then it produces the archegonium. Now, moving on to the structure of antheridium. Mature antheridium carries a stalk and a club-shaped body. See this. This is the stalk portion and this is the club-shaped body. The stalk attaches the antheridium to the base of antheridial chamber. See, this is the antheridial chamber. This space is known as antheridial chamber. This area is known as antheridial chamber. The antheridial attaches through the stalk to the base of the antheridial chamber. The stalk may be slender and composed of 4 rows of cells. In anthoceros, a single or a group of 2 to 4 or more antheridia are present in same antheridial chamber. A single layered sterile jacket encloses, see, this is the single layered sterile jacket, and this single layered sterile jacket forms the outer covering of the body of the antheridium, and it encloses the antherozooids inside the body. It encloses antherozooids inside the body. The antherozooids are biflagellate. It carries 2 flagella. See this. This is one flagella. This is the other flagella. Biflagellate, linear and unicellular. The structure is linear and are unicellular and are uninucleate. Here you can see antheridia in the anthoceros thallus. This is the anthoceros thallus. This is the antheridial chamber, and this is the roof of the antheridial chamber. Water is helping in the dehiscence of the antheridium. As the antheridium matures, the roof of the antheridial chamber breaks irregularly. This region is breaking irregularly, and it will expose the antheridium in a cup-like structure. See, now the antheridial chamber look like a a cup-like structure and it exposes the antheridium to the outside. The antheridia absorb water and the upper tire of the jacket fall apart, releasing a mass of antherozooids. This is all about the structure of antheridium in Anthoceros. Structure of archegonium of Anthoceros. The archegonium develops in the flesh of the thallus on the dorsal surface. The place of an archegonium in Anthoceros thallus can be identified by the presence of a mucilage drop. See, here on the upper side of the thallus, you can see the mucilage, and that region marks the presence of archegonium inside the thallus. Here, the archegonial chamber is totally absent. That is, the archegonia is developed in the flesh of the thallus. It develops singly from the superficial cell of the thallus and are produced in acropetal succession. The stalk is totally absent and are embedded in the thallus in direct contact with the vegetative cell. At maturity, the archegonium consists of vertical row of 4 to 6 neck canal cells. See, this is the neck canal cell. You can see 4 to 6 neck canal cells. A ventral canal cell, this is the ventral canal cell, and below the ventral canal cell, an egg cell. This is the egg cell. This is all about the structure of archegonium in Anthoceros. In mature archegonium, the neck canal cell and ventral canal cell, and the ventral canal cell disintegrate and form a mucilaginous mass. It forms a mucilaginous mass. It absorbs water, swells up and comes out of the archegonial neck by pushing the cover cell. See, these are the cover cell. These two are the cover cell, and the mucilage pushes the cover cell and it comes outside the thallus. The antherozooids reaches the egg through the chemotactic responses and the fertilization is effected. Prior to fertilization, egg enlarges and fills the cavity of the venter. The fusion of the both male and female nuclei result in the formation of diploid zygote or oospore. Thus, the fertilization ends the gametophytic phase in the Anthoceros life cycle. Here, the zygote is the first cell of the sporophytic phase. By repeated segmentation, it develops into an elongated embryo. Later, by further cell division and cell differentiation, it rapidly grows into an elongated spindle-shaped or column-shaped structure known as the sporogonium or the sporophyte. This is the sporophyte of Anthoceros. Here also these pillar-like elongated structures, see, these pillar-like elongated structures are the sporogonium or the sporophyte in Anthoceros thallus. If you look into the structure of sporophyte, it is differentiated into foot and capsule. Here, seta is totally absent. Normally in bryophytes, the sporophyte or the sporogonium consists of three parts: foot, seta and capsule. Here you can see only foot and the capsule. The seta is totally absent. Each sporophyte is surrounded by a tubular involucre. See, this region, this is the tubular involucre, and this tubular involucre surrounds the sporophyte at the basal region. Here you can see the internal structure of the sporogonium. I have told you that the sporogonium is divided into foot, basal foot and a capsule. The foot is deeply embedded inside the thallus. The main function is anchorage of the sporogonium to the thallus. It consists of parenchymatous cells and is bulbous in nature. In between the capsule and the foot, you can see single layer of meristematic tissues, and this is known as intermediate meristematic layer. The function of meristematic layer is it will continuously generate the cells for the capsule from the base. Thus, the capsule is always in different stages of growth. That is, it is supplying cells to the, meristematic zone is supplying cells to the capsule. Now, moving on to the structure of the capsule consists of a central region called as columella. This portion, this is known as columella. columella. And outer to the columella is the sporogenous tissue. See this layer. This is the sporogenous tissue, or the sporogenous tissue surrounds the columella from outside. The outermost layer is the capsule wall. This region, this is the capsule wall, and this capsule wall is 4 to 6 layer cell in thickness. The outermost layer of the capsule wall is the epidermis. This is the epidermis, and this epidermis consists of stomata. The epidermis is parenchymatous and are sometimes called as jacket. In dry condition, the capsule loses water and the tip of the capsule gradually shrivels, and the capsule dehisces by splitting into two halves, exposing the spores outside. The sporogenous tissue consists of spore tetrad. See, this is the spore tetrad and pseudo-elaters. This is all about the structure of sporogonium in Anthoceros. Here you can see the diagrammatic representation of the life cycle of Anthoceros. Here the major portion of the life cycle is represented by the gametophyte, which is haploid. It produces haploid antherozooids and haploid egg cells. The egg and the antherozooid fuses to produce diploid zygote, and this diploid zygote is developing into the capsule. I mean the sporogonium. The sporogonium is always diploid. Thus, the sporogonium is representing the sporophytic phase in the life cycle of Anthoceros. The sporogenous tissue inside the sporogonium capsule undergo meiosis. This region, this is the sporogenous tissue. The sporogenous tissue undergo meiosis to produce spore tetrad. See this. This is the spore tetrad. These spore tetrad are germinating again to produce the gametophytic thallus. This is all about the life cycle of Anthoceros. Happy learning. Bye.